Hi there. Most people stay stuck, not because they don't know what to do, but because they unknowingly repeat emotional, mental, and behavioral cycles. Yeah. A lot of people in the world are stuck today because they are stuck to their old ways. They are doing the same thing over and over and over again. Have you heard about the rat race? They say we're in a rat race, meaning that we are going around in circles, in circles, in circles, in circles. A lot of people are in in rat races. But you can break out of that rat race, that loop. And how do you do that? You stop repeating the patterns. You're repeating the same behavioral patterns, the behavioral cycles, mental cycles, emotional cycles. The way you have been reacting to events 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago is the same way you're reacting now. How do you expect something to change? How do you expect there to be a different result? You're still the same person that you were, basically. And to see a change, you need to be a different person. There's no two way about it. You need to change. You need to be different. You don't want to say, this is me. A lot of people say, that's me. No, you need to stop being you, essentially. That's basically the magic to growth. You need an identity shift. Everything that we're going to be talking about when it comes to transformation and growth is attached to an identity shift. You need to change as a person. You need to do things differently. So to break out of a loop or to break out of a cycle, it might take you some doing. It might take some doing for you to be able to do that. Now, let us look at the example of somebody called Jay Shetty. I'm sure you've heard about him before. Is this motivational? Maybe it's a life coach, motivational speaker, and all of that. Very calm. He has very insightful podcast and all of that. If you go listen to him, go check for him, Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty wasn't always that calm and insightful man that you see today on podcasts and on stages. In fact, when he was 18, Jay was on a very different path. It was like most people. He was chasing what the world calls success. He was studying in a top business school in London. He was wearing suits to networking events. He was interning at massive corporations. Like most people, upwardly mobile youths are doing right now. Probably you as well. On paper, everything looked perfect. But inside him, he was quite miserable. It felt like he was cut out for more than all that. Every day felt empty for him. He couldn't shake the feeling. He was meant for something else, something bigger, something much more impactful, something much more valuable. But he didn't know what it was. So like many of us, we are caught up in a loop. We wake up, we grind, we achieve, we repeat. We're following what the world calls success. But we feel empty inside still. Something unexpected happened to Jay. And what was that thing that happened? A friend of him called him, invited him for a lecture. And for this lecture, the speaker was a monk. Now, it's not exactly the type of person a business, someone from a business school will, or a business school student will rush to hear. A monk. What are they? What is a monk? What life does a monk live? What success does a monk have? What values does a monk have to society? But if he had thought that way, it would have been wrong, because it was a monk that changed his life. And during that lecture, the monk said something to Jay, or he said so many things, but there was something he said that struck Jay. And that thing was that you cannot control outcomes in life. You can only control your intentions. And your intentions will shape your experience. Let me repeat that again. You cannot control outcomes in life. You can only control your intentions, and your intentions will shape your experience. Now think about it. Many times we are attached to the outcome of events, of how things will turn out in our life and all of that. We only give value to the outcome of anything that we do, right? Uh, you come out with first class in school. It's the outcome you're looking for. Um, you get married and have 5 kids. That's the outcome you're looking for. You work and you get to the top of the corporate ladder. That's the outcome you're looking for. Um, Everything turns out well for you. Nothing to stain you, as people like to say. You have no stains on your resume. You have no stains in your life. Those are the kind of outcomes that we look out for most of the time. You see, but you cannot control outcomes. There are lots of people that have, there are so many people that you grew up with or you knew that are long gone now. They're gone. Like, you never see them again. And many of them before their time. Well, I won't say before their time. I don't know what anybody's time is, but before they were old, right? So the outcomes you're looking for is to be old. Those are some of the outcomes that we're looking for. To be old, to be, there's so many outcomes. That's just one of the outcomes. There's so many outcomes that we're looking out for. But basically, we cannot control any outcome. Life happens at the end of the day. But you can control your intentions. That's the only thing you can control. You control your intentions and then don't bother about the outcomes. The lines can fall wherever they fall. But take care of what your intentions are. And it is your intentions that will shape, will shape the experience of your life. And it's all about the experience. It's not about any outcomes. It's about the experience. So that hit Jay, hit him like a lightning bolt. And he exposed the truth to him. He wasn't living, he was just performing for the gallery, for approval, for money, for a life he really didn't care about deep down. So what did he do? He walked away from everything, gave up the suits, he gave up the job offers, gave up everything. He went to India and spent 3 solid years, living as a monk. Check that out. That was an intruder. That was a fly. All right. From, a corporate suit wearing guy, business school offers, London guy, that kind of thing, to being a monk in India for 3 solid years. So he didn't just go there like, something quickly, let me go for a quick fix. He went, he sat down, he became a monk. And what do monks do? They meditate 4 to 8 hours, they stay quiet, they observe. They communicate with their own minds. They live simply, they live quietly. And for the first time, he really learned how to observe his mind, not just obey. A lot of times, most of us are conditioned, our minds are already conditioned, from when we were young to do things in a certain way. So now I decided I'm not going to just obey what my mind is telling me, my conditioned mind is telling me. I am going to re-observe my mind, and I'm going to decide what I want to do with my life. And then he was in that space for 3 years and decided this is now how I want to live my life. He came out and he became the Jay that we know today. He broke the loop, not by chasing something new, but by being quiet, being still, observing his mind, changing patterns. He started doing things differently. And then his life took a new turn. He had a different meaning to what life was all about. And by getting still, and watching his patterns from a distance, he was able to find clarity. So he wasn't doing more hustle, chasing that cycle up and down, go running around like that rat, running around and around, and it's the same thing, and hoping that within that cycle there's going to be a difference. There won't be any kind of difference, because you're doing the same things that everybody else is doing the same thing, doing the same thing, doing the same thing that you've always been doing. You need to break out of that cycle, and you need to observe your mind. There's a portion of the Bible that I really like. It says, there's so many portions of the Bible that I like. Anyway, the Bible is a beautiful book. It's a book I grew up on, and I would recommend that you read the Bible too. Whether you're a Christian or not is not the issue. The issue is that the Bible is a very, very good book, and it's a book that can transform your life if you really, lean into it. So there's a part that says, "Be still and know that I'm God." So that means you can't know God until you're still. That's very, very powerful. And how can you be still? By going somewhere quiet for some time. You need it. Forget everything that you're used to. Forget everything that you're used to. Ask yourself some serious questions. Ask yourselves why you're chasing what you're chasing. Do you really, really want that thing that you're chasing, or you're chasing it because every other person is chasing it, or the world says that is what you must chase? Why are you chasing it? What are you doing right now that you feel like you can't stop doing? So you've put your ladder on one wall and you've climbed up to the top, and then you're looking down and be like, I'm so far up this ladder, but it's leaning on the wrong wall. What do? You stay on that ladder to save face? No. You need to climb all the way back down, and then put your ladder on the right wall after. Because how do you now know this is the right wall? That is why you need to observe your mind. You need some peace and quiet. A place where you can meditate, you can pray, and you can ask yourself some serious questions. And ask yourself those questions, not just, for one day or so, for some time. You need some time. If you want to call it some time in the dark, well, it's some time in the dark, but you come out at the end of that tunnel, there will be light. Because now you come out refreshed. It was said in the Bible that people, when they wanted clarity, they will go away. Jesus went away for 40 days. He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, I think. I think Moses did it as well. I think probably Elijah as well, Correct me in the comments, if I'm wrong, But there were people that went away for extended periods of time just to observe their minds anywhere. God is right there in your mind. Be still and know that I'm God. You need that peace, that quiet, just like Jay did. He did it for 3 years. You don't have to do it for 3 years, but you need to do it for a period of time till you come out with solutions. You're not just going to go somewhere one day and bing, bam, and the answers start coming. You need to observe that peace and quiet for some time. You don't need to hustle harder like you've been trying to do. You just need to wake up from that loop. You're not stuck. You're just repeating the same patterns. And patterns can be rewritten. Here's a challenge for today. Take 10 minutes out of today. Write down a certain loop that you know that you're stuck in. Ask yourself, those things are there. Nobody needs to tell you. Know your loops. And there are many of them. Write down one and ask, what would the upgraded version of me do? So the old you has been doing this. What would the new you do on that particular loop? So let's say you're in a loop of alcohol consuming, binge drinking, and you can't seem to break out of that loop. Just one example. What would an upgraded you do? Because alcohol is not good. It's toxic to your, in excess, I believe. It's toxic to your system. It's poisonous to your system. What good is it doing to you? And you can't stop drinking it, and it's damaging your body and then eventually damage your mind too, because when your body is not so when your body is broken, your mind in fact will not function properly because your body cannot carry it. All right, so you know it's not good for you, and you know you must put a stop to it, right? So what would an upgraded version of you do instead? Just think about it and write it down. That's your challenge. So we're just going to do this thing one change and one shift at a time, right? The next day, for 10 to 15 minutes, do that again. And then the next day, do it consistently for a period of 7 days. Share your results with us in the comment section. And if this video helped you today, hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.